Hi guys,
Alright.
What up, Melon? What's up, bro?
how's it going?
Good.
All right, welcome in, everybody. This is another shitcoin talk with Jake, and I guess Melon's gonna chime in too. So I'm glad he's here. It's been a little bit of a rough week. It started off well. We made a lot of money early on in the week, but things got messy real quick when that one rug that we'll talk about later happened. I think changed the markets real fast, and that's why it's always good to stick to your rules like we always talk about. But yeah, Jake, how are you, man?
Yeah. Yeah, doing good. Been a rougher, I'd say, caught last few days. In the trenches. Unfortunately, is what it is. But we're getting back at it here. I think it kind of aligns pretty well with macro as well. Where Bitcoin and a lot of alts have been getting pretty, especially alts have been getting pretty devastated over the past few days. And we got a bit, I'd just say, overheated. In general on the AI stuff, we were kind of just like cooking like a little too crazy. I like felt it too, like later last week around like Friday or so. I was like, I probably should be like stepping off the gas here. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I kind of had like that itch of like, yeah, this is a little too easy. Like it's getting kind of out of control right now. I should probably like de-risk for a second. And unfortunately, I didn't enough of what I didn't like listen enough to that instinct. Um, but it was still like good enough that um, I think everything's gonna be fine. But it was kind of like I don't know if you got that instinct too, but it was kind of like it seemed like it was inevitable almost that we get a bit of a pullback after the craziness of the beginning of the January.
Having a hard time unmuting. Yeah, I felt the exact same way. And actually, I was taking at least initial off of everything, like everything that I had writing, because I was way too invested. I started pulling out way faster. Like when I started feeling that, I'm like, nah, it's crazy. Everything we're touching is going on the moon. This has to give at some point. It's just too much, right? And when you start feeling like that, we know we're like euphoric and stuff that it's time to cash out, and I was cashing out pretty heavily. Not as heavy as I'd like, obviously, but like heavier than I was like since January started, and good thing I did, but at the same time, yeah, just way too invested. The good thing about it is I was in some really good bags, so even if they dip now, I'm still in good shape. So, I had already started picking my spots much better like the last month or so, and it shows. Like even now on dips, those projects, a lot of them that I was in, like Buzz and like SNAI took a bit of a dip, but I had taken heavy profit. Like UFD came back. Like I was only in a handful really of projects, and all of them did, or most of them did significantly well compared to others. So I was happy about that. It pays off to choose the right projects. But yeah, I felt the same way, and I wasn't even surprised when that rug came along and everybody was in it. MPLX. I think a lot of us too got wrecked on that. Actually, I think it's the first time I
Yeah,
see the majority of us get hit by the same rug in MVHQ
yeah,
and on CT, and it was nasty. Like that thing ran up from a couple mil that we saw it at till to 20 or 30 mil, and then it just completely got nuked instantly. And there was a couple other rugs after that too that people got hit with. But I feel like that right there really changed the tune a little bit, made people more weary and more like obviously they got hurt, so they kind of stepped away from the market. We saw it instantly. I don't know if you noticed it, Jake, but and I'm sure you stepped away too. But as soon as we all got hit, the markets just went dead, like completely flatlined across the board. People stepped away from the computer. Nobody was even in our chat anymore for a few hours, even a day. I would say it'd take over a day for people to reset, and it's completely understandable. I do that stuff too when I get hit. So luckily, I saw it a little late, so I didn't ape too hard. I only lost about 6 soul, which is still significant for some. But yeah, I mean, in a way, I think we needed that. It was an expensive lesson for a lot of us, but it'll teach us to go back to our roots and to go back to our rules and not overinvest and just be more cautious because these things do happen and we needed that reminder. But yeah, it was definitely brutal for a lot of people.
yeah. That one was tough. It was a lot of good traders got hurt on that one. I saw because I mean that one was fucked because the actual dev of the project followed the account like so it certainly seemed like it was legitimate. Um, and it like was pumping so hard so fast that he did have a tweet like 24 hours before that or whatever of how like he was going to it was like a reply though It wasn't going to show up on like his main feed, but it was like about how it was just like a scam account. And he asked them to take it down, but um, people didn't see that in time, and it was just kind of pumping a little too hard because it seemed so it's like such a good project, obviously, because it was like Versal CEO would like tweet it out and stuff, and I certainly got like hurt on that one because everything seemed like from Quick DD, checking all the boxes, it certainly did that. So that was unfortunate, but like yeah, like you said, there's that. I think that certainly like took some air out of the market. It was like pretty easy to see. I like stopped trading at that night after that. I was like, okay, that like everything else is probably gonna be pretty shit now. Um, and it kind of has like spilled over the last couple days, along with the fact that now like Bitcoin's been dumping. At like just kind of adds on to it, I would say. There's still runners, obviously, but it wasn't. It's not like what it was like a week ago, or even just like 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, it's a cycle. We see this all the time. We even saw this early on in the AI meta. Remember when like there was a lot of AI rugs coming out, and all of a sudden we just abandoned the AI meta for like 3 days and went back to like the animals and stuff, and then all of a sudden it just started ramping up again. So I think it's just a little break in the action. With like you said, it started off with the rug, and then obviously it coincided with the majors also dumping like that same day or the day after, and it was a cascade of events. But I don't think we're dead by any means. It's just we got to be careful for a little while, and slowly we'll ramp up, and you know what I mean. People will just be more careful in what they invest in, and then when they start making a lot of money, they'll rotate into more risky assets, and those will start pumping like crazy. Just when you've seen these cycles happen many times over the last few months and stuff, you kind of get a good feel for them, and you know that eventually we're gonna get back to like crazy frothy movements. So it's just knowing what part of the cycle you're in, and acting accordingly. Really, you can't force trades. I mean, right now it's not a time to force trades. I'm looking at the markets, and people are posting CAs all the time, and I'm sure a lot of them are running like that LLM thing that ran before. I didn't see it early, but
Yeah,
I'm just way more picky on what I'm going to choose now, and way I want to hold on to my soul for a little while and just pick my spots, ape slowly, and maybe DCA in. But yeah, I change my strategy very often. I talk about it every time we do these shows, and I'm back to being very cautious with my soul, and maybe as my things that I'm holding now pump, I'll be selling some like more heavily. But yeah, I'm just more careful in what I'm investing. That's new.
yeah. That's you gotta be flexible, right? In shitcoin world, that things change so quickly. That if you are kind of playing this game of, especially if you're gambling on like new stuff a lot, um, and you're gonna have to adapt to like what the market's giving you a bit. Um, because look, volume and liquidity are super important on these kind of stuff. So yeah, we can also get into. I certainly plan on getting into talking about like seeing what's legitimate or not. I think that's very important on AI stuff in general. I just don't see. We talked about a lot. I've been talking about a lot in like Wake and Jake stuff too. Maybe I guess we haven't had shitcoin in maybe a week or two. Um, but just in general, like I don't see. I certainly don't see AI going anywhere. It's pretty clear in my opinion, based on um, just overall mind share and all these other runners. Not even just in crypto, but traditional finance too, where like the biggest companies are being valued incredibly high because of AI. Those are like the biggest runners as well. I guess I'll share in voice hangout chat so stuff doesn't get drowned out as much. But this is something I shared with in Wake and Jake too, but basically like AI mindshare, and it's at of crypto Twitter, and it's at like 72% right now. Like the next highest for reference is meme mindshare. It's like just under 5%. So it's just like absolutely dominating the timeline of what people are talking about, and like personally that's like pretty much been um like my only like bags for the most part have just been AI, or at least AI like adjacent um stuff right now, because I don't really see it going anywhere. Like I think it's pretty consensus, um not in crypto but in general, that like AI is going to be the future. It's like, especially if you played around with it enough, then it's like pretty easy to see how like it's, especially with how like rapidly it's advancing, how it's going to like take over many different parts of our lives, and just the fact that we can kind of put like financial value to different projects and kind of like bootstrap um, bootstrap different projects as well, and hopefully get some kind of like monetary gain via different stuff that's getting built, and like the fact that it's very similar to NFTs of 2021 cycle, where it's just like it seems like this limitless almost upside of AI stuff because we haven't seen the ceiling yet, right? So you can't really compare it to anyone. So that means valuations can continue to get crazy, and that's kind of where you want to be, is where the speculation is pretty rampant. You can kind of take advantage of um, you know the speculation, I guess, if you will, and the stuff that's actually genuinely good could probably do really well, at least in the short to midterm before the cycle ends. Similar to, again, similar to how NFTs were in like 2021. We didn't really know like what all the use cases were. Like everyone was speculating on what we could use these for. It's like it's same for AI, but I think AI is obviously, like I would say, like quite a bit bigger than that, um, based on its capabilities, and also like widespread uh view from just the general population.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to dismiss it. Like when you don't understand it, kind of like a lot of people did with NFTs early on. You'll be like, you're the boomer inside. You will be like, man, I'm not touching this. It's dumb and I don't understand it. But when there's this much mind share going to one thing, just like with NFTs, you don't need to understand it. You just need to kind of follow the trends. And the pumps are so massive that if you're just kind of following along what people are saying and stuff, and play it like you would any other chart or like anything that you like you know how to trade and you do trade, you can make money. So you can learn as you go, and even if you don't completely understand it or think it's cool, or maybe like the worst thing you could do is just avoid it and be a pessimist about it just because you don't understand it. There's opportunity there, and I think obviously the knowledge plays a big part. The more you can dig in and the more you can understand, the better it is for you, and the more you're going to make profit, obviously, because you're just going to identify things others can't, and it's going to give you an edge, and it's always about edges. But in general, I mean, this could be a market for anybody. At first, I was also dismissing it because I thought, yeah, AI is cool and all, but a lot of this is just chatbots and it's garbage. But then you saw a bunch of that get to a billion or 500 million market cap, and you're like, you know what? There's opportunity here. Even if you don't like it and you don't understand it, it's still that's where all the attention is now. So you have to be involved. You can't fade it completely, right? So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I shared a chart too as well in voice hangout chat of where we are mirroring where we were where DeFi was like in 2021. Or sorry, this is actually end of 2020, and we're like basically where DeFi was at end of 2020, at around like total market cap of all these AI coins of like 10 billion or so, and like DeFi ran to over 60 billion, right? So it's like 6x from where we are now, and that was obviously um past cycles, so like future cycles. Sorry again if you were at in like Wake and Jake, but we already kind of talked about this, but still think it's pretty relevant for shitcoins. But like previous cycles, or sorry, new cycles, valuations have always been higher, at least than past cycles. And I just think like AI in general is a much bigger thing than what DeFi is or was. So I think it could get quite a bit crazier from here. Like I'd say minimum 10x from where we are now if the cycle does continue and we didn't top like all of CT is calling for today all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, I'll always inverse trade CT. This just means we're ready to pump. Give it a day or two. We're going all time highs, baby. But yeah, I mean, DeFi. A lot of people in here were not around for that because it was like early 2020s, right? But I can tell you that even DeFi, for people that were OGs in the space, a lot of them were like kind of like hesitant to touch it because it was decentralized. It wasn't on exchanges, so they didn't really trust it, and it was like really a small handful of people that got the movement started because a lot of the people that were already trading on exchanges with the major coins and the major altcoins, they didn't trust it. They didn't want to throw their money into these protocols that they didn't believe in. They didn't want to connect their wallets to these things, and it created so much opportunity that because of that, because the vast majority were kind of hesitant to play with it, especially the OGs, the real people that started really playing with it are kind of like what we did with NFTs, where we started playing with them when nobody else wanted to because they didn't believe in it because they were crypto OGs, right? It was the exact same thing, and I just feel like every cycle has those opportunities because you kind of get stuck with the old mentality, boomer mentality again, where oh, I'm used to this moving, this is dumb, I'm not gonna touch this because I think it's just gonna die out, it's a fad, and it's the same thing with AI. It's so like you said, it reminds me so much of the decentralized meta. Like I lived through it, so I know I've seen it, and I've seen it again, DeFi, then NFTs, and then a bunch of other like metas that we've seen, and now into AI. I mean, you need to stay on your toes in this space, and you need to always touch what's relevant, and yeah, impossible to ignore.
Um, yeah, I think we can kind of get into more of the nitty gritty here, but I wanted to open up at least to community. You guys, if you have any thoughts around the discussion or around just like general belief around where we are with the cycle or where we are with the AI stuff.
Water Malone.
Sorry, I'm still trading. Did you say something to me there?
Nah, you're good. We just
I
opened it up to.
completely zoned out because I was trying to
Yeah, yeah.
research this. Yeah. What was the question? Sorry.
We were just asking for general thoughts of like the market and stuff, and how you're seeing things. We asked generally, but I know you're here, so you like to chime in, and I kind of tagged you in here.
I mean, I agree with what was being said a moment ago. I think by yourself, like even if you don't fully understand all the AI stuff, with that larger percent of mind share, you know, it's the best thing you could put your time and effort into at the moment, like to yield a positive sort of effect on your portfolio. Like memes made a little bit of a comeback the other day, but they do seem, definitely the second focus right now. Sorry, I just don't know if I'm early here on something and I need to research
You're
this.
good, bro. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
no
ahead.
problem. You're good.
Well, give me
Appreciate
give me
it.
like a couple minutes because this might be a cook.
Yeah, we'll keep it going. Don't worry
Later.
about it.
Um, yeah, we can kind of get into it more. I did want to go over more of like DD stuff. Because I think that'd be good. Maybe we can actually use Melon's coin as an example here. Let's see if I can share my screen. One second.
This is a tough one because the website's getting like non-responsive. It's also tanking right now, so and yeah, there's not a lot to go on this one. So DD's kind of tough here.
Bitcoin, man. This thing ran. Um, yeah, I wanted to kind of talk through. I'm sharing the screen too if anyone would like to follow along on that. But I wanted to talk a bit about DD, like at least like the basic steps you can do. Obviously depends on the coin, but I think for a lot of these AI coins are very similar. Into the due diligence that you can do on them. Um, I think like in general, like I think the two main goals you should have like right away when you're looking at a AI coin is, or like when you're first looking at like a new one, is like one, is this project legitimate, right? And then two is this token like the official token of the legitimate project? And I think if you can cross both of those boxes off, then you can kind of go into, more the nitty gritty of, all right, is this like, is this a good price? Is this like the normal stuff? Is it like seem like it's like a decent use case? Is there like good people behind it? But I think first off, like you basically have to like confirm those other two things because so many of them are not legitimate, or so many are like tokens of like a legitimate project, but they're not connected to the legitimate project. So I think steps you can do, like like step one, like right away. Oh my god, feet going is going crazy. Um, I think right away you can do is like one, go to the link Twitter, um, see has it. I think the stock is viewable, but see has it mentioned a token, right? On the Twitter, is it connected? Is the token is there like a verifiable connection between the dev in the Twitter? I think that's super important. Like obviously this is not like a meme coin where it's like community led or like some Elon coin or whatever, where the deployer of the token doesn't matter. Like AI is like fully dependent on the deployer of the token, as long as it's not like an AI meme like Fartcoin or whatever. Um, so obviously like number one, you should be making sure like the dev is behind the token is or the project is legitimate. And you can do that by finding the dev's Twitter. If it's like linked on the dev's GitHub, if it's linked on the website itself, and then that's not like a sure giveaway because any website can obviously link to any other profile or whatever. Um, so doing things like looking at the dev's actual Twitter and seeing if he's engaging with the personal Twitter by any means. Um, and then also like on Twitter, seeing how many mutuals they have, and who they are is super important too. So I think like just I'll stop there for like initial steps on Twitter. As I kind of get my head around next steps here, but yeah, I think just in general, making sure that the project's legitimate, which basically means like is like the dev doxed, and has like somewhat of a decent reputation or like any reputation at all, to where if they rug, then there's gonna be blowback on this person, or like they probably won't rug because they've already done successful projects in the past and that can be verified. Or is it just a random person who just created a Twitter account just now, um, and can rug at any second? So I think that's like super important because I've seen a lot of stuff shared in like shitcoin chat that like is not does not fit these um criteria, and I want to make sure people stay safe and they're not buying these kind of coins.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people will share things because we want to be fast to it, but you still need to do the DD, so you need to know what to look for sure. Like even by yourself, don't just assume everything's legit. Most of the times it won't even be legit. You need to know how to identify it for yourself, and obviously it's good that we're getting them fast, but we don't want, you know what I mean. People have to do their own DD. We need to, and obviously share it too. Anytime I see somebody, like if you have information, post it. Doesn't matter. I'd rather we have too much information than not enough. A lot of the times I see people doing their own digging, and it's fine. Like we all should be doing our own DD. But if you see something, alert it to people. You know, like even if you're not sure it's a scam, just post it in there just to make sure that people know that this information is out there. And one thing that does kind of confuse even me sometimes is a lot of the times, and we see this very often, where a website for a certain project will look super clean, amazing. You know what I mean? It looks like everything works, but then you notice that someone, like someone will dig around and find that, oh, this is just a duplicate of another website. That's the one thing, Jake. I don't know if you know how to identify that. I don't. But how do you go about maybe finding if it's a duplicate of a website? Like how do you is that like a lot of the times I see people finding them, but is that just because they saw the information in another in another Discord, or maybe that they already went on a website that looked similar with another project? That's always the one that escapes me a little bit.
I actually don't have a great answer to this. I know you can like obviously like copy text from the website and just like paste it in Google and see if something pops up that's like the exact same. That's one way of doing it, but that's actually like an area that I'm not great with either. So that's a good question if anyone else has a good resource for that.
Exactly. I feel like that's one of our kind of blind spots, and if anybody knows, even in chat, even if you can't speak up on voice and you want to like just fill us in shitcoin chat or in voice hangout, please do, because I feel like that's one area that we could all get better at, and it's one that I don't know how to get better at. So if someone does know how to do that, please let us know.
Um all right, so yes, I think this is a good example here. This is like one of the top projects if you could follow along on my screen share, just like a quick DD. This is it just like launched 4 minutes ago. It's getting a good amount of volume, something called Asher or whatever. These holders are messed up, I think.
I'm also looking at that, by the way. Just say he's launched a previous token. on pump called Prime. I'm just going to look at that for some reference. He also
Yeah, it's
launched
already.
this token 3 times in like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like shit for sure.
Yeah, yeah, the minute.
But yeah, like this, for example, is like I think a good it's a good example of like just because something's getting a bunch of volume doesn't mean it's legitimate. Actually, vast majority of them are not legitimate that they're getting a bunch of volume. I would say when in doubt, like I would say like for sure always assume that something is not legitimate until proven otherwise. This AI stuff, because I mean 99% aren't legitimate just because they have like a GitHub listed, doesn't really mean anything. Especially if the GitHub only has I mean if they've only contributed like the last day. This is only the last day or two, so they just like quick copy and pasted a bunch of stuff into the GitHub. Boom, boom, and then this person, I think you can see where can you see where they joined. I think they created the repository yesterday. Um, so that really means nothing. They have zero. They don't have any Twitter. I'm sure they botted their followers on here. They have no Twitter to look at of who the dev is. There's like no info on here at all. They're just posting pictures and like 2 words. This looks like an obvious scam to me. So yeah, if you can't like have any, if you can't like verify whatsoever of like who the dev is behind it, then like it's very likely going to be a scam. Because why would you not say who you are if you're launching a coin? I would not like take anything for granted. Yeah, there's like nothing. So yeah, I'm not like I would for sure like that's all I honestly really need to do for DD, and I would just move on because unless there was other people like saying that they knew something that I trusted. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other stuff as far as DD goes.
I mean, all the different commands that we can do in the Discord, fresh wallets, notable holders, even the scam one is new to me. To see deleted tweets, there's a wealth of them that seem useful in the Discord
Oh, I
commands.
didn't know there was a scam one. Scam.
Yeah, I didn't know
That's
that. I'm
cool. I like that.
trying to compile a bit of a list here while you're talking, and
Nice.
hopefully have a bit of a write up for this at some point.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying to
cool.
think what else. I mean, you went over the Git. Also just making sure everything lines up. Like a Git might be linked to it, but then you go to the Git, you go to the dev's Git, you go to his Twitter, you realize there's no link at that point, or it's a different Twitter, or the GitHub's linked Twitter is different than the one that's linked on the Dex, for instance. Like making sure everything connects together is a big part of it. That's the bit that I like triple check myself on every time because I'm so scared to post a rug, to be honest. But I'm trying to think of what else. My brain is fried from today, honestly. Today has been kind of crazy with trading.
Yeah, I know. Important
I
to
mean,
take breaks. That's for sure.
earlier,
It's a lot of info
yeah, yeah,
that you gotta take in at once for like hours on end, and then
yeah, just literally sitting here with 4 screens in front of me, and my eyes
yeah.
are hurting. What was the one earlier that basically just from a few clicks we ended up missing out on a lot of the early volume and a better entry. Um,
Sure.
it was the one that was the dev of Freatic. It's like a lot of just clicking through. Like, he's a dev of Freatic. On first look, as I hovered over Freatic, it said it had like 3.8k followers. Didn't look like anything particularly special. But when you actually go to the Freatic Twitter, you see that it was backed and financed by AI16Z, which is this AI pump token. So there's like a loose link pump to AI16Z. So, there's some air of legitimacy there, and that's the reason why it had a run. But we couldn't work out why it was running so hard, and it was literally just a few clicks away. So it's a lot of making sure everything lines up and digging as deep as you can, especially when the volume's there. But yeah, I'm going to try and compile a list of like full DD to help everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know you've been refining the process quite a bit.
Getting there. Yeah, trying to. Still learning.
Yeah, I feel like it's like even more important than it was in the meme stuff where like things could run even if it wasn't like a ruggy dev or whatever. On this stuff, it's just like there's so many it's so reliant on the people that actually that are launching the token that you have to be extra careful on what you're getting into. And they're coming up with, more and more ways to try and pull the blind over you.
It's even easier now because they can hide it so well. There's so much stuff coming out that nobody knows about, that you don't know how it works and stuff, that anything can make it look good and it's not. You know what I mean? It just, like before with memes, it was easy. It was very straightforward. Is it a TikTok meme? Yes or no? And is the dev a serial rugger? Yes or no? Like there was two or three things to check that you knew right away. And is it memeable? That was another big one. Now it's like, what is this tech? Does it work? Has he done the GitHub? Has he updated GitHub? Is he just copy pasting repos? Is he forking other stuff? Like, there's a million different avenues now that they can like social engineer to kind of like get you to buy the rug now.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Black Daddy. I don't have a question about DD, but I have a question about AI agents in general.
Let's hear it,
What's
bro.
up, Black guy?
How are you, man?
What's up? I'm doing great. So I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are about the distinction between AI agents and the rails that they run on. For example, um, AI agents, they're more mimetic, but in a world where everyone has their own AI agent, it might be more plausible that the rails that they run on accrue more value. Obviously, virtuals is pumped a lot, but about 6 months ago, I invested in like Autonolas and artificial liquid intelligence, and those have been not doing too well. So I wonder if those will eventually come around, and what your guys' thoughts are on the rails and the infrastructure.
Real quick, I could just tell you that the infrastructure play is mostly being done by AI16Z in a way, and like Zero Pi is also trying to build out their SDKs to pump other people's systems. And then you look at like chain partners, like sure Base is one, but there's people that are going to Arbitrum and all these other places. I do think that the Rails are going to do really well, but there's probably also like even in the virtuals model, like the inference pieces where everybody's paying one of these bots to kind of superpower the model. That's also like a place like fees generation. It can be pretty big for a lot of these projects.
We can never forget marketing too, because if you don't know how to get your project out there, you can be like the toppest of all top devs, but marketing is getting important because we're getting saturated. Well, we're not getting super saturated, but we're getting to a point where there's just so much coming out. And like you said, AI agents are growing. There's many more of them. Anybody could launch them, and it's going to get harder to identify what the good ones are. And the rails are always going to be important. I think even more than the actual agents, because there's going to be so much fluff and garbage everywhere that it's going to get annoying. I mean, it's already kind of annoying with a lot of these like just chat bots. So definitely, if you can identify them before everybody else, especially when if it's a really good dev team or whatever, and they're not very well known, you can have an edge there. But at the same time, it also brings its own risk. But I think it's definitely very important.
Cool, very interesting. So, in a world where everyone has their own AI agent, what do you all see as the leader in where people would want to launch some type of agent that would go around trading and trying to extract value? So that AI16Z, virtuals.
I think they each do their own. I think they each have a chance. I mean, what the right answer now might not be the right answer in 3 weeks because things are changing so fast and teams are. It's basically like an arms race is how I'm seeing it. How everybody's just building, and some of them will build faster than others, and some of them might build a product that you don't even care about. You know what I mean? They might be working in a whole sector that no one's gonna give a shit about. Meanwhile, someone else might be building like actual things that are going to be useful to us in the future. So it's hard to say, but I mean, just go with the one that you think. And I mean, I think a few of them will do well. Virtuals, AI16Z. I think these guys are already the front runners and they're established, so they're safe bets. but also, are you looking for something that can do multiples, or are you looking for something, you know what I mean, that's already kind of not peaked, but is getting up there already in value? It's kind of, I guess you need to find something that's tailored to you, is how I see it.
I hear ya. I'm also curious about where the best place to go and kind of explore launching my own agent is too.
Ranch, if you want to pitch in there, I know you know a lot more about that than me.
If you got money, you could go to virtuals because it's a hot ecosystem. If you have a dev, you go to AI16Z yourself. And if you're somewhere in the middle, that use.build site is great because at least it gives you what the capabilities of a social agent is. And like that's what AI16Z has shown, like they're the leader in. Right now, the finance piece of it is still very much like up in the air because they don't really have traders for any of those. Like there's certain people that have built bots that can do specific things, but building out a real trading ecosystem on them seems to be like their next kind of push. That and gaming, like having the actual interaction there.
What was
Shout
that
out,
third one you said, Ranch?
Use.build, right? I think that's the one Jake shared originally in here.
Yeah, Build. It's a great site. It's like more of a no code, low code um type one, but it's pretty customizable in what you can do, and they're planning to add a lot more features than what they have now as well.
shout out to
Well, thanks, man.
Brookshire, and shout out to Brookshire and to Ranch, who's always working hard in this space, man. I'm rooting for you, bro. I know you're deep with these AI guys, so I'm hoping it works out for you, man.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I can say, the guy Loop, who used to be in here, I think, he's doing like a NFT drop next week on OpenSea, and he's trying to get a bunch of AI agents to like mint and be part of the community.
Oh yeah, Loop. Yeah, he's cool. He's been. We have actually a mission open with him right now. If people want to go check on our site, I know we shout it out often, but app.mvhq.io. Go get your whitelists. That one might actually be closed now. I don't know if we're gonna reopen it. It got botted to death, so I know it went crazy and it gave us a bunch of problems, and Loop wanted to shut it down. So, but yeah, there's other opportunities.
Yeah,
Um,
appreciate it, Jinzo. Ever have any questions of things that I can help? I'm always here.
For sure, man.
Ish.
Thank you.
yeah, appreciate it, guys. Um, yeah, so we talked about DD stuff. I think it's a good time that we can show some bags. I think that's always fun. Also invite anyone here to show their bags too. But I think with how much we're talking about how we think AI is here to stay. My mind share is so great that I think and then for the most part, I'm like pretty in and out of different projects. But there's like a couple that I'm a pretty big fan of. One was Build. I think it's a really good build dot. Oh wait, no, use build. Yeah, use build dot fun. And I'll give anyone else here an opportunity to show their bag as well. But I think this one is pretty sweet. It's basically just like create, configure, deploy custom AI agents. They can do, they say everything. um, it's a pretty cool process. You can kind of go through and um, like customize how quite a bit, I would say, like how they interact with stuff on Twitter, like what their obviously what their personality is like, how they reply to stuff, and like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, automated workflows, um, yeah, individual memory stuff like that. It's in my opinion, I like it a lot just because of the fact that I think this is a very um like a very wanted product out there for people who can't code themselves, because the vast majority of people can't, but they probably want AI agents, and I feel like that demand's only going to continue to decrease, I would say like exponentially here in the future, where they want AI agents to help them with various tasks. So the ability to create one by just like typing what they want, or like clicking different checkboxes and sliders and whatnot in a way to where they don't actually have to code it themselves, I think is like going to be super important. So whoever gets this right, the best, has a lot of upside. And I like build for that right now. If there's anything else that pops up, or if you guys know of any others that are similar to this, then I'd be very interested in those as well. But yeah, right now I like build a lot, that aspect of things. Then also the other one is Gremlin AI, where this dude is basically making it's a docs dev, which I like a lot, who has done a lot of stuff in the past. He's like pretty known in the security world of things, and he's building something where his name's Geek Nick on Twitter, but he's building stuff where it's like basically it like stress tests different Solana applications, where it basically like uses like a controlled environment to throw all these different kinds of like real life security vulnerabilities and threats at your application. Basically like AI auditing, if you will, to make sure it's up to speed. So that's kind of what he's building right now, which I think is a pretty cool use case as well. And obviously, if you see by his like contributions, he's pretty cracked himself, and I think it's way too low of a market cap for what it is. He just hasn't delivered the product yet, so I think that's why. But yeah, so those are like my two main AI bags right now. Oh, and also Fartcoin, because I think Fartcoin's hilarious and it's already permeated like more of like the traditional finance bros. They love talking about how Fartcoin is at a so and so market cap and like bigger than all these other companies. And I think they're just gonna continue to cope about it. And it's just funny, and like anyone can pick up on the fact that it's Fartcoin, and it fits like the right curve of people too, because it was made by the idea was made by AI itself. But yeah, I'll stop my shills there, those few. But I do want to like give the floor for anyone else, if you guys want to talk any of the stuff I talked about, or if you want to show something else. I like to hear people's convictions on stuff. I think it's helpful. Enzo, got anything?
UFD, UFD, UFD. I love Ron, bro. I can't get enough of this guy. It's been fun, you know. In a world where it's all AI all the time, he's still finding ways to stay relevant, and people like him. I see a lot of buzz on it on Twitter and stuff still. So yeah, that's one I keep rotating back to. I mean, at
Yeah.
65, it was just free, and here we are. It's always pumping over 100. It's nice to see. I think it's just a matter of time before it actually like goes to all time highs again, or at least reaches above 200 again. I mean, it's been close a couple times. I think it's ready to go. I don't know. I feel like this one. It's hard to get listings right for pump fund tokens and stuff, but this one feels good. I like it. I don't know if it's ever going to get a listing, but I like what it's been doing. It's a feel good project.
Yeah, I love Ron. He's awesome. I'm not back in the UFD. It's just a little too high for me now. But I do see where it could keep going. Chart actually looks pretty good. Nice little
Yep.
support dip. This is probably a decent entry spot.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of Mood Dang, but the only thing is that Mood Dang started getting listings, so it went much higher because of that. But I don't know if you remember when it dipped down to the 60s and everybody called it dead. We didn't get that with UFD. It just dipped, and nobody really ever said it was a bad coin or that they hated Ron or whatever. It just dipped because it dipped. So I always felt like the bounce was imminent. I was just way too over invested in this and in other coins to buy that dip. But man, I was licking my chops at it. I really wanted to get more UFD when it was in the 60s during the holidays. Other than that, yeah, I mean, Buzz has been doing really well. Apparently, that dev is cracked also, and he's going to be on Rasmer's show here in about an hour and a half. So, if anybody's free and they want to tune in and want to learn more about Buzz, that might be the place to do it. But multiple hackathon winner, and yeah, I mean, this is a coin that a lot of us are holding, and it's been doing really well, and I expect it to keep doing well.
I sold too early on Buzz. I think I was just wanted to liquidity to chase other stuff, and that was probably the time where I should have just been like, all right, I need to need to hold off. Maybe just hold. I feel like that's pretty important in the cycles. If you have because I still felt really good about it, and I was like, yeah, this is probably gonna go higher. It's a legitimate team, and everything, and but I sold it anyway just because I wanted liquidity for other stuff. I think that's probably a bit of over trading. When most of the time, if you are on something that you feel really good about, it's probably best just hang on until you
Yeah,
think.
you still did well though. You still did well. I mean, I felt the same way, and I did oversell a little bit early. But you know what happens to me sometimes is that when I'm in too many bags, I forget what research went with what bag. So I'll be holding Buzz, and I'll be like, oh, it's up 20x. I'm gonna sell some here. I'm gonna sell aggressively, and then I forget that this was the hackathon winner dev and all that. You know, like if I'm holding 7 or 8 things, sometimes it's hard to remember what was associated with what, and that's where I kind of get screwed. I end up selling the wrong things because of that. But I guess when I start selling, I should also go back and refresh myself on why I was holding in the first place and identifying if that's the one I want to cut. Because sometimes I just start liquidating across the board, and it might not always be the best thing.
Yeah, it's a constant struggle of what to sell when you need liquidity.
Need
I've
that
been trying
liquidity to
more and
lose
more
on
to
new
just cut
rugs.
losers instead. What's up? Sorry.
I said need that liquidity to use on new rugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's usually how it goes. I get the liquidity for something that's running and doing well for me, so I'm taking profit, and then I put it into rug and just lose the profit.
That one you were talking about earlier, Astra, that token, I don't know why it's running now. It's like almost 400k, but it's made by the Prime dev who rugged Prime from like 18 million. So
Oh, great.
yeah, so
Yeah, I
I
don't know
don't
why it's
think
running either.
they'll probably avoid that one if anyone is looking at the chart. It is the Prime dev.
It still looks like shit to me.
I don't know why people are buying it.
So Dev burned the tokens. Crazy.
Sorry, was the question a moment ago about sort of conviction plays?
Yeah, if you have
Yeah,
anything, Melon, I know
yeah,
you've been talking
I
about.
was quiet. I was just researching a couple of things that popped up. Yeah, I mean, I'm heavily into 2077 at the moment, which I just don't think it's getting the recognition it deserves. Seems severely underpriced given the market. Like Conjure, for instance, run up to 30 mil the other day. We've got ALK sitting in the like 100+ mil sort of range, and the dev has built something somewhat similar, but with his own twist on it. He's just focusing a little bit too heavily on the gamification right now, in my opinion. But if you guys go and actually try it out, I've been using it to code some scripts and tools for myself to try to help out with trading. It's a very workable, usable product, and the dev has proven himself. He's delivering all the updates that he's promised in the order he said. He burned a shitload of tokens at the start. I think 45% of the supply is now burned or locked away. Locked all of his remaining tokens and burnt, I think, like 25% or something like that. I'd need to check. I think, no, actually it was 37% got burned and 7% got locked. That was what it was. So even just on that front, he's shown his conviction to it and he continues to deliver. I really like it. And I've seen a couple posts in the past few days from people who tend to be early. Like, I don't know if any of you guys follow Duck, for instance, but he's a really good trader from what it seems. And he posted a big sort of thread about it, about how the gamification aspect that he's trying to do will, could really aid with mass adoption and mass use of it. So he's trying to reach this. What was the exact quote from the tweet? Because it was kind of good. Let me just get that. It's one of those, like, you really need to go and use it yourself to see, because a lot of people just think this is some sort of game thing, and it's not. You can literally code full stack apps that are deployed and testable within a web container on the website. There's a marketplace coming that you'll be able to, sell your developed apps on potentially with rev share and monetization, and there's a lot of great updates. I posted a whole thread about it on my Twitter as well. Here we go. He said capturing the current market isn't enough. Expanding the market 100 times is the target. Always has been, and gaming is the Trojan horse we use to get there. So I get why he's focusing on the gamification, but don't overlook it just based on thinking that's all it is, because it's really not. It's like ALK, but a different breed. I mean, personally, I can't see how it's not already mooning, but sometimes we're early. Duck's post about it also. I'm just going to drop that in shitcoin chat there once I find it, so people can have a read, and I'll post my thread as well. Let me just find it for you guys. Oh, Jesus, this guy tweets a lot.
Is this dev? Who is this dev? Do you know?
The dev is Anon. That is, one flag almost. But at the same time, he has kind of proven himself with the burning of thousands and thousands of dollars of tokens. Sold nothing, only burnt and locked away. So at that point, staying on, I don't mind, sort of thing. You know, he burned like 37% of supply. He could have sold that for hundreds of thousands. Like literally a lot of money, a lot of money. Like even now when it's sat at it's ranging at a low right now from its recent, it's still above where when I found it at 2 mil, but it's ranging here sort of 3 to 5 mil for quite a few days now. 37% of tokens at this sort of range could have been a great deal of money, and he even locked his remaining 7% away. So whilst he's not doxed or not, given his identity, I do kind of have a lot of trust in him, especially as he just continues to deliver an update. And I really like the product. I mean, I've been using it as normally when I code, I'll use ChatGPT or Claude or something to speed up the process essentially and help me. I'm actually preferring using it to those, which I didn't expect. I thought maybe, it'd be same sort of language model on the back end. I'm really not sure exactly what it is, but for coding it seems a lot more focused and making less memory mistakes and not forgetting as many things like ChatGPT does. I think that's because of the web container aspect, where whatever you deploy or whatever you create is contained there on the site, and the code is updated and it's previewable and soon will be deployable within the site, much like Conjure has done with their custom URLs, but that is just to come for 2077. Conjure seems more focused on making little games, and then this looks like it's focused on making games, and it's really not. It's a very confusing market, but yeah, I'm very, very bullish on it. So
that's a beautiful chart too. I have to admit, I'm looking at it there, and it's one of those things that if we were in full on bull still, like we were a week ago, this is something that would have been doing really well right now.
yeah, and I do think it'll have its moment for sure. I mean, I'm sitting on a very big bag, and honestly, where I've kept adding to it, I'm not deep underwater, but I'm somewhat underwater, and I don't feel uncomfortable.
So,
similar
I
to
appreciate the rundown. Yeah, that was great. I need to try it out for sure. I think
Go
obviously
give it a try for
it's
sure.
a useful product. That's super important. I don't love. I say I definitely don't love that the dev is Anon. Like, does he even have a Twitter? Does he even have a Twitter of his own?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't
Completely. But
certainly
then
don't love that.
but he doesn't even have any tokens he can sell right now. They're all locked away for a long time.
Yeah, I saw that too, and that was concerning to me because he locked it for 5 years. Which is like that
I,
almost seems like he doesn't even like plan on using that. So maybe he has like other wallets he's selling on.
I did do a little bit of digging, and I couldn't find. I mean, it doesn't seem like he does. I can't say.
I mean, yeah, but anyone
but,
can like
I
deposit
know.
from an exchange and
Yeah,
buy. So like, if you and you wouldn't be able to find it.
that's what I mean. There's a point with meta sleuthing that you just you have to admit you're not going to find all of that. But I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know.
just saying. I just want to like point out like things that are like concerning to me, even though it does seem. I mean, if
Don't
it's a
worry.
good, if it's a
I
good
don't feel
product,
like
it
you're.
works.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel like you're pumping
it
me
kind
up
of
or
reminds me of like worries me a bit about like Seeker was a good product and it worked, and then they like full rug that. So I don't know why. I don't know why they did. That still makes me mad because I liked using it.
But I
But
suppose
yeah,
that's the
I
other.
mean, I certainly hope they don't rug.
Yeah. That's the other bit. I suppose the rug chance feels a lot lower with 45% of the supply just completely out of everyone's hands.
I also think burning's honestly pretty gimmicky
I
because
don't
like
like it either.
he acquired it and then he he already acquired it right away, and then he sold it. It's just to, like, pump the price. I don't know. Burning, in my opinion, isn't usually that bullish.
When the devs lock all, or when the devs burn all their tokens, that's normally bearish for me. But a dev locking their portion of the tokens and burning a large amount of supply to reduce it, because initially you'll see if you go back on the chart, it really wasn't getting any attention at that point. It was the consistent burns and sort of updates on Twitter that garnered it any attention. I don't know, it's fairly bullish for me. Supply reduction, and he's still locked away, so he's got something to work for. 5 years is quite long, admittedly. I thought that as well, by the way. I didn't mind you saying that or felt like it was FUD. It's like, I felt the same way. I was like, 5 years is a long time, especially in this market, to lock it away. But I mean, it's up to the individual how they think, how long they think, they can keep a project going. Or 5 years is an extremely long time, though. I would agree on that point. But I mean, he just seems to consistently deliver an update every day. It just, how do I put it? Gut feeling is rug chance is very, very low. So
Yeah,
it's my
but
third
certainly
biggest
he'll be
bag. So yeah, so do I, because it's my third biggest bag. I will be deep underwater at that point. But yeah, definitely worth a look. And
Yeah,
oh,
sweet. Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem at all.
Anything else, you guys? Say any
Moss
other
is a really big
Moss?
conviction play that's going to be a long-standing one. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a lot of the information is really difficult to find for Moss, and also when you start digging, it's like your head explodes, because you are digging into. I mean, he's got 20 years of AGI experience. He's a PhD professor, masters. He really knows his stuff, and it is for most people, including myself, far too complex to understand all of it. So your head explodes and you're like, God, I don't want to research this. But if you research who he is, who he's worked with, I mean, Amazon have got a case study on Moss hosted on their servers from 2 years ago or something like that. I can find it here. Even that alone, he's worked with Amazon, he's worked with Alibaba, he's worked with Tao. Here we go. Look, I'll post this quickly just for you there. That's from back in 2022. He's been working on this for literally years. It's a very long-term play for me, but he seems like he could be one of the leaders in the AI space, in my opinion. And a lot of people, or a lot of the people that I respect and follow on Twitter for AI trading, are in the same boat and have massive bags. And I just keep loading on these dips. That's what I keep doing as well. It just doesn't yet have the attention, I think, again, that it deserves, based on when you try to research. I mean, that's all in Chinese or something, so you have to translate it. But yeah, that
You have
post
like
I
a quick
put in
TLDR maybe?
of this, do you know
Yeah.
what? I haven't even read it yet. Honestly, I haven't even read this yet. I can't get my
No,
translate
I just meant in
to.
general of what the project is.
There is not a quick TLDR. I'd be better off getting you the thing is, that sounds like I'm opting out of a question. There just isn't. I mean, they've even got their own chain. Like, I end up sitting here talking for like 30 minutes. Let me get you. Rather save my brain today, right? Because a smart guy has already done and written up what you're asking for, and so everyone can just have a read. Let me just find it. Because I'm just going to be regurgitating some of the stuff in there, plus a little bit of my own understanding. And genuinely, I think this
Yeah.
guy's smarter than me and understands it more. So his write-up is going to be better than what I'm going to sit here and say when I'm
I'll say
this I'm this tired. I'm so tired, man.
the website says focusing on building sustainable, decentralized AGI agents and fostering an autonomous cryptocurrency economy with the ultimate goal of establishing unconditional basic agent income for ecosystem participants. So yeah, I know I can see how that'd be a bit complicated, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like obviously like a very experienced dev, this kind of stuff that's built crack stuff in
yeah,
the past.
he's proven. Yeah, he's proven, and in that sense, he's not a non at all. He's fully doxed, and he's yeah, he's already proven. I mean, he's 20 years of research and hard work, and I find it a hard one to fade. I don't know how other people are not, but I will admit that other than these guys that I follow on Twitter, I don't see a great deal of the wallets that I track or smart money or anything on this yet. So I still feel early, and I don't get why they would fade it either. So it just seems it's just not got the attention yet.
I think that's actually reminds me of a point in if you guys have read Ross's field report, which is really good about like detecting AI rugs and stuff. Not that this means it's a rug, but it was kind of just a side point in his field report about how if you like it's important to be able to at least like be able to explain like what the project is. Um, not I would say at least for like short term growth. I think stuff that's ultimately like really cool and is gonna do well, like what this could be, is probably like would be like more of a slow cooker where people it like takes a while for people to like really get it. Um, usually like if stuff's gonna go crazy run, um, it's pretty important that like it can be like thoroughly like explained and like essentially like marketed to a wider audience that people like get it like, oh, okay, I see why that's valuable. Whereas if you have to like really dig in, it's harder to get people on board.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I think it was my first point, to be honest. I think that it's
Yeah.
such a minefield. Like even if you just go to the website linked on Moss, you end up down a whole rabbit hole that doesn't actually lead you, in my opinion, to all the places that an investor, needs to see. It's for people who are actually interested in artificial general intelligence and have some understanding of it, which let's all admit it. Well, I don't know about everyone, but I think a vast majority of us have very little understanding of it, and we're in a trading group to make money. So we look for different things than what he displays, but if you really dig, then you do find a lot of very bullish signals on Moss. So I do think it's 100 mil plus coin. We'll see. Time will tell, and the market holding also is necessary for such a slow play. So there is, as bullish as it
Yeah.
is, element of risk in that sense. I do view it as a very long play. Not many coins I'd say I'm planning to hold for multiple months. But that's pretty much it for Moss. I mean, those two posts I put there really fully explain it and save me talking for ages. So, but yeah, do give them a read. They're definitely worth a
Yeah.
read. Yeah.
Yeah. Much appreciated, man.
Also going back to Gremlin, you were talking about Geeknik. He's
Yeah.
very much proven, and as much as the price action is not looking great right now, focus has been fully diverted away from him. Volume is extremely low. There's been no delivery just yet, but if you just check his Git, you can see him consistently working on this every day for many hours of the day. Bit of a gamble in that sense on the product delivery being good, but based on him as a developer and the work I'm seeing of the code that I do understand, I do think it's very good. I just think his when he said I'm providing a demo and then provided a teaser, it was a bit anti-climactic almost, and yeah, that didn't have the effect that I would have wanted. But I'm still, that's actually my largest bag just due to being in on it early. But yeah, also convicted there and holding out through this sort of negative trend. It's a difficult one with conviction plays. You have to really accept, a lot of percentage down sometimes before the next leg up. But yeah, I'm bullish on that one too. What else have I got here?
Times like these are made for that, man. It's much more funner to research when it's quiet. Like when it's just hectic and crazy, like oh you ape into everything and sure things move, but I like it when it's just chill and you can actually find projects again, you know?
I prefer that style of trade. Honestly, I don't like this rushed due diligence type stuff that I have to do to try to keep up with this market. I like finding these cooks that are like, slow cookers almost. It's much. I feel much safer with my bags there. I make far less mistakes, and my port grows much more sort of healthily. My hit rate's higher. I just genuinely prefer those type of plays.
Yeah. Um,
Sorry, I'm just looking through my
Yeah.
bag now to see others for conviction. IQ is another that's really worth a look, honestly. I don't know if you guys have seen IQ. AI Eliza partnership. It's a storage. It's somewhat like, if you can imagine, almost like ordinals for Solana, but way bigger than that. But it's like a storage mechanism for
You're
and
talking about
it could be,
IQ 6900.
yeah, could be very widely used in the future. Especially now it's partnered with Eliza. Once that starts getting use and getting publicity, then I think other projects and expand. It's another one I'm really bullish on long term. Definitely worth a look. I've
Yeah,
run
I'll
out
open
of
up to
brain
anyone
power
else.
today though. I need to sleep. That's about all I've got.
You're good. Appreciate all the contributions, man.
No, it's
Those
all
are
good.
awesome. Yeah. Anyone else have anything or any other topics? Jinzo, you want to cover? Anyone else want to cover? We're
Nah,
past
I'm
the
good,
hour
man.
mark here.
Yeah, if anybody could come up, wants to come up, last chance here, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. I don't have anything to pump except for Fartcoin. I think that's going way higher over
Oh
time.
yeah.
I am curious if anyone else has any thoughts about Go. It's currently at its lowest price since October 20th. Do we think that there can be an AI bull market for the next couple months without Go being involved?
Looks like right now that's what's happening, but I feel like it's one of those that will just get forgotten until all of a sudden it pumps to 1 billion again, and everybody's like, "Man, that was such an obvious play." There's a chance that it doesn't
Yeah.
happen, but I think it's just it was the first one to be popular and created and actually make a buzz on CT. And the reason we're in this meta right now is because Goat got started and pushed it. So I feel like it's not getting the respect it deserves. Whether it's gonna evolve from what it is now remains to be seen. There's a possibility that it doesn't, but I do think that as a first mover, it's definitely undervalued. It should get more recognition than it currently is getting. Like, does that mean the rest of the market has to cool off first for that to happen? I don't know. Or will it move up only when the rest of the market moves up? It's kind of hard to judge, but I do think it's being completely disrespected, and it should be catching more bids than it is.
Yeah, I think it's like the OG. It's probably I think it like for sure will probably go higher. It feels to me like it's gonna just underperform a lot of the other stuff, so it's not really something I'm super interested in. I just have never. I've always thought like it wasn't as advanced as like even just like as like Zero Bro, and it's not. It's also like not its official token. It was like a community token. So I feel like that hurts it a bit. And there's just like a lot of other competition now out there. It's only really feels like it's only really popular or like has like the value of it's more that it was like early, um, and not as much as like what it can do. And I don't know. I don't love that aspect of it.
For sure. And the Twitter is like basically unreadable.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just
follow the Twitter
wonder
anymore.
if that Andy dude is gonna like develop something else, some sort of infra or something, like add to it in some way. I also wonder if like Binance or Coinbase will list it because it's like one of the tokens that's been on perps the longest that never got spot.
Yeah, I feel like too like it's like mind share matters a lot with these kind of things, and it's just like fallen off so much. It's not even on here. Where's it at? Where's Goat at? Oh yeah, it's like less than 1% now of mindshare. It's behind like I don't know 12 or a dozen other projects at this point. As far as like other AI agent stuff, this is Cookie.fun, by the way. It's a really good website to analyze AI mindshare stuff. I'll share it in voice hangout chat.
Someone had just put it up there not too long ago. I think
Okay.
it was WAF or someone did. I know someone linked it. But yeah, I agree. It's too bad, really. But if it's unreadable and it just, you know what I mean, people don't care right now. Like they used to talk about the Church of Goat and call it a whole freaking cult, and that thing like disappeared real quick. I feel like nobody talks about that anymore.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else, you guys, before we wrap it up? Obviously, you can stay and chop it up as far as the show portion goes.
Good on my end. Thank you for coming, everybody. I got a log, but yeah, feel free to stay and chop it up. There's so much to talk about still. I gotta eat and then get ready for my supper rush here. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for hopping in. Thank you for contributing. Mel especially. Appreciate all the insights. Everyone else. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I was muted. Yeah, no worries. Thank you also.